And welcome back to another episode of Real As It Gets. Gordo, we're on episode number 5, and we thought we'd bring in a very special guest.
We have a legend with us.
We have a legend.
Our mentor,
Mrs. Clare Wolgar. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. I'm quite honored to be here with these two fine gentlemen.
We're very excited to have you because, as Gord alluded to, you did mentor the two of us.
I did, and it was my great pleasure to do that.
It really set us up for success, eh, Gord?
Absolutely. When I started, in 2007, Claire kind of took me under her wing, and if I had questions or I ran into problems, she helped me. She gave me ideas, and then we started helping each other out when we were away, and I got to meet some of Claire's clients, and she guided me through all kinds of different scenarios, and you've been wonderful to
thank you
to teach us.
Well,
spit it out, Gordo. Spit it out.
It's always been my pleasure, and you were great gentlemen to work with.
I feel like I sat in your office on that chair for many, many hours, and you did actually help us buy our first home.
That's
remember?
true.
And
yes, I do.
My lovely wife loves to cry every single time we buy our first home. Be like, what are we doing? Claire got to witness that firsthand. Love you, babe. But yeah, so Claire, just if you can you give a little background on how long were you in real estate? You're retired now.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's retirement is good.
Yeah.
I miss the people in real estate, and hence my visit back to the office today. And I got involved with you two again, and that's my pleasure.
We roped you in.
We both saw Claire, and we're like, Claire, you got to come.
You're our first guest. We talked about having a guest after maybe 10 episodes, and we saw you. Claire's got to be our first guest.
Claire's going to come on and say a quick hello.
Well, that's wonderful. So my timing was wonderful. That's great.
So you weren't always a realtor.
No, I was at home with 3 children for 13 years, and I would not trade those years for anything. And then I went back to teaching, and I taught there for about 7 years. And because I didn't have a degree, when I came through after high school, we went to teachers college, and you didn't need a degree to become a teacher. You went to teachers college.
Yeah.
So after a year at teachers college, I started teaching and did that for, about 12 years, I guess. And one day, my husband and I, Gary, were driving in the car, and we were talking about some employee of his who was moving, and we got talking about houses. And he looked over at me, and I can still see him doing it. Looked over at me, he said, "Claire, I think you do well in real estate." So that planted the seed, and that summer, when we were off, I went and took the real estate course.
Amazing.
And then that point in time, you could only leave teaching in November or June. And I thought, well, I'll continue to June. But then as the Christmas rolled around, I thought, nope, I'm going to do this right now. Start real estate in the new year, which is what I did. And I was at that for 43 years.
43 years, Claire.
And a very successful career you had.
I had a very...
You didn't just sell real estate. You were an office manager and a broker.
And managed.
And a mentor.
Yeah.
She's been teaching her whole life.
I guess maybe that's true. And it was great fun. And I have to tell you, retirement is good. But the one thing I miss the most are the people I work with. And hence my visit by chance.
Yeah.
I had to go to the drugstore, and I thought, well, I'll just come in and see who's here. And you guys were here, and here I am.
Well,
very exciting.
So, but you two were, really good guys, and you're doing well, and I'm proud of you both.
Oh,
thank you very much,
thank you, Claire. Well, we had a great mentor, and your sort of ethical guidelines were always so straight and narrow and so clear cut. If you'd ask you, Claire, I'm not sure what to do, you'd just say, you know what to do. You know what to do. You always did the right thing.
And she'd make us think too, which I always thought was extremely beneficial, being like, well, what do you think you should do as well, so that
correct.
you found the answer internally and then approve, being like, that is correct.
Yeah. No, that was one of the enjoyable parts about being a manager, is that you could watch people like the two of you grow and become successful. So that was my joy in doing that job. So
Thank you,
it's
Claire.
been good, and I wouldn't have wanted any other career.
Oh, well,
Would you like to leave one last message to all the fans of Real As It Gets? Maybe about real estate or anything you'd like to say, and with life or something to put you on the spot?
Well, with life, oh my goodness, I haven't.
Work hard, play harder.
Be true to yourself.
Be true to yourself.
And be true to others. And I think success follows.
Amazing.
That's great
Well
wisdom.
said.
yeah, well said,
Okay.
Claire. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Claire,
My
for doing
pleasure.
this. We know how busy you are with retirement.
Oh, yes.
So it's hard to get you in here.
I got to get ready to go on a cruise.
Oh. Amazing. Well, thank you, Claire.
You're very welcome. My
Thank you
pleasure.
so much, Claire.
What a great lady, eh, Gord?
Claire's amazing. It's just been a pleasure to work with her all these years, and it's miss her when she's not around the office because she always had such great advice. And
We need that wisdom. We need it back.
we need it
Carlo.
back. Well, great, just like advice that just makes sense, right? And just like so much experience in the industry, and
She holds you accountable to, and to your point of ethical and whatnot. Like, I feel obviously every industry has bad apples, but if you had a lot more Clare Wolgars that were mentoring,
this would be a
everybody across
different
the-
industry.
Exactly,
This would be a
exactly.
completely different industry.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Well, I'm glad we got her on. So, Gord, how you feeling? Because people have been wondering. They've been like, "Where's the next episode? The world needs more of us." And you were sick.
I was sick. I had a rough go stomach flu. Like drove down to the States and like basically sick the whole way back, 7 hours in the car, bouncing around on the
Ooh.
interstates. And it was not a fun ride, but I'm back to 100% now. So feeling good.
And the irony is, you were listening, or your wife was listening to the podcast, correct?
Correct.
Because we are now on Spotify, and you weren't talking close enough to the mic.
Apparently I was not.
So now I think 5 times the charm in that we've really figured out, because we sound crystal clear when we're talking into it.
And well, keep in mind, we're doing all this ourselves. Like, we are the cameraman, the audio engineer, the producer, the whatever. So yeah, and it's trial and error. We can't necessarily listen to it at the camera end
Hey,
when we're
baby,
doing
it's
it.
real
So
as it gets.
It's
It's
as
as
real
real
as
as it gets.
absolutely.
So what do you want to talk about today?
Well, we were going to talk about pricing.
Pricing. Wow, that's a biggie. We could get into a lot of.
Well, it's, like we get asked a lot, like, how do you price a house? Like, how can you tell when a house is priced too high? How can you tell when it's priced too low? What are what are the implications if you price it too high? What are the implications if you price it too low? And how do you price a house? Like, how do you, you see a lot of houses, someone says, hey, what's my house worth? How do you determine the value?
We wing it, guys. We wing it. We
And that's
fake it till we
and that's
make
a
it.
wrap.
That's how you price a home. No, I think this is a great topic because it's obviously a loaded question, but there is so many elements that go into pricing that is not just taking into account to the specific comps in the community, the specific comps in the neighborhood, the current climate from a real estate market in general, interest rates, what's going on in the world, what have you. But incorporating a marketing strategy to take into all that as well, right? Because you may want X, and you might think, I feel like most people think, let's list it high to plan that someone's going to lower.
Leave some room for wiggle room. Negotiating room.
Exactly. But in my opinion, I feel like that doesn't work. I think
I agree with you.
And you leave it creates a stigma where the longer it sits, even though there's nothing wrong with it, somebody will assume there's something wrong. And as more times go on, you lose leverage. And then you're caught with your tail between your legs where now you're dropping price. And now the people are like, well, let's see how much more they're
That's
going to
correct.
drop, right?
Because you already burned X number of days on the market. And you're absolutely right about what you said, what's wrong with it. Like, I think, buyers are out. And if you've been out with buyers and the house has been on the market for 100 days, they ask you, why isn't it sold? What's wrong with
What's
it? Like,
wrong
that's a
with it?
legit
Literally,
buyer
what's
question.
wrong with it? Actually,
Yeah.
comes up all the time.
Yeah. But there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it's not priced correctly.
And I love, like, as a realtor, I'm almost like, let's go see these ones that have been 90, 120 days. Because we know it's just overpriced and sitting. And there could be some, really good opportunity there to scoop it. Because now the sellers are beat up, or they haven't had the feedback or people through the door to really make an educated, informed decision.
Right. They won't get as many showings if the market doesn't see the value on the list price. They're just going to wait to go before they go and look at it. Like a buyer's not going to necessarily go and look at an overpriced listing just because he thinks that might be the house for him. If it's, 10, 20, 30% above where it should be. And we're seeing prices in some cases that are that much over the market value, right?
Well, especially today, I think this is that's a great segue here of that. People are still hanging on to the peak February 2022 numbers. We have never been that high in the history of real estate in Ontario, let's say. And on average, high overview here, folks, GTA as a whole, I'd say we're still easily down 20% from peak numbers.
So yeah, 20,
maybe even more.
Yeah. 20 to 25, I think, safely.
Because I did see the January stats of 2025 to 2026, price is down 6.5%.
Right.
So obviously there's a little bit of ups and downs in between there that maybe leveled out. But yeah, you're probably right. It is probably closer to a 25% interval.
From the peak.
And then it's having those conversations with, well, I don't care. My house is better than Bob and Cheryl's. And I want that price point. And I think at least that has changed from a mindset standpoint. But that's what we're still seeing with what's sitting in a pricing standpoint, correct?
That's right.
So when we're talking pricing today, I think it's really important to maybe we talk about the stuff that is like sitting and the negatives that happen with that. And I think we actually alluded to that too, where buyers don't even want to go. And I think that's where we step in as professionals to educate them on like, hey, yes, it may take some time. Like I have a prime example right now. I'm all over the place and you're going to bail me out here if I'm spitballing here. But we had a property that came out a week ago and it's at like $1,050,000. And I honestly think it's more of a $950,000 house and everything in the neighborhood screaming $950,000, maybe $975,000 max. But they have to go through the trials and tribulations of realizing that they're not going to get showings. It's going to sit long. And then you sometimes have to put in that offer, because they're not going to take that low ball, which is market value, right out the gate.
Right. But so what you're saying, so sometimes the vendor, the seller has to kind of experience the market for themselves rather than rely kind of on what we're telling them. It's like, yeah, if you list it too high, you won't get showings, and then go ahead and do it anyways. And then wait and see like, hey, Trevor, why is no one coming to the house? Well, we think the price is too high.
Yeah.
The danger with that, of course, as we talked about, is it could be sitting that much longer. And then you make a price adjustment. Let's say you're lowered by $100,000 and now you're at $950,000 for your example.
Let's see how low they'll go now.
Well, and then you see
blood's in the water, essentially. I'm saying from the mindset.
But then you
buyer.
might see an offer come in. Oh, they've dropped $100,000. Maybe like you get an offer for $850,000 or something. If the market value truly is $950,000, you'd price it at $950,000 originally, or $960,000, $965,000, something like that, just to leave a little bit of negotiating space. Perhaps you would have got that and it would have been sold in a week or a week and a half, 2 weeks maybe.
And I think that's where we come into as professionals, in that I say this endlessly, where we want to be ahead of the curve, not playing catch up. So to that example, when you go in high thinking, I want $1 million, so let's put it at $1,050,000, because if they come down to $1,010,000, I'm still winning. But they're forgetting that it's really not rocket science to sell a home, in that our job is to get people through the door. Because one element, which we talked about, is financing, and can you financially buy the home? The other element is emotion. And when you get somebody through that house, and this young couple or single individual or family fall in love with that house, it's very hard to remove that emotion, right? So if we're getting people through the door, it will organically sell. I always say, like, generally speaking, 10 showings leads to one offer. That's
a good rule of thumb. I use that as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
We do the same presentations. But yeah, I think that's.
And what about on the flip side? If you and it's hard to do, I think, in this market, but listing too low. Like, have you seen many cases I think where a price is, house is undervalued? Like, we're not seeing like what we used to see in COVID, where it's just like, price of 200,000 below market value and hold offers for 5 days. We're not seeing that. But if a house is below the market value, like, have you seen that? Are you seeing that at all right now?
I'm seeing that come back a little bit right now. I don't know about you, but I think it comes down to your marketing strategy too, in that knowledge is power. I had a conversation right now with a condo that we listed at, I believe, true fair market value, but it truthfully has been slower than we've expected. And now it's like, okay, do we just continue to sit and it gets stale over time? Or do we do maybe it's high risk, high reward, but I think it's just a better approach in that we didn't have the information before of expecting it to be, a lack of showings. So let's go to the extreme of low, not to, necessarily of the hope of like, hey, we're going to get multiple offers and it's going to go crazy over, but more for the psyche of, okay, we really want to get people through the door. So how are we going to do that? Because right now it seems like we're lost in the shuffle. Mm-hmm. So maybe we can stand out and be that diamond that's really shiny there, right? And to your point, people probably aren't expecting it. So they might be like, what are these guys doing? Which is fine. You can question what we're doing, but I'm banking on that they're going to love the home, right?
Well, you have to look at where the property's positioned with respect to whatever you're competing with, right? So if your condos, let's say, you said is at 950 and all the other ones are at 875, you're going to be high. Well, but if there's like the average price of that size unit is, let's say, 900 and you price it at 890, then you're going to be the most attractive one. And you have to think of also like how many are going to sell in the next month. Like, is ours going to be one of those, or is ours going to be like not one of those?
Exactly. And I think it's just positioning it for success in that sometimes fair market value price works, especially on the product, like you said, in the area.
If the product's good.
If the product's good. But if there's a lot of that product, how do we stand out and be different? And it's not to say we're going low aggressively to, try and be like, oh, I sold it $100K over asking. That's not the point. It's that we're lost in the shuffle of everybody else. So let's try something new and different to really stand out and to turn everything on its head, being like, what? I'm at least going to go see it because what are these guys thinking and doing, which works to our advantage, right?
And the risk is if you price it too low, more than likely you're going to get multiple offers. The market's going to equalize itself out.
Correct.
Right? So you will, at the end of the day, you will get fair market value for it. Well, and maybe just sell it a little bit quicker.
Exactly. And I think to your point is like during the peak, people were doing that and be like, oh, I sold it $400K over asking. And sometimes I was even like, I actually think they left money on the table. Like, yeah, you did really well over asking, but I think the house is actually worth more. You know what I mean? In some cases, not peak, different realm altogether. But with this example, at least too, is that back to the knowledge is power in that if you do go low, and to your point, the market should give you what it's worth, and you have 30-something people through, and you have 5 people putting an offer, and it's still below what you were expecting, you can at least go to bed easy and make a decision that I don't want to sell it now because now I have this information.
Right.
Or you can take it on the chin and be like, we tried at X, we had nobody coming through. We tried at Z, we had a ton of people through. And then they put in their offers. These 5 people don't know each other. They haven't communicated with each other, yet they all think it's worth this price. Maybe that is market value.
Yeah, maybe that is. And buyers are smart. like they know. So if if it's priced too high, they're not coming. Why? Because they know what the value is. And if it's priced aggressively or perhaps just slightly under the market value, they know that as well. And looks like a great deal. Let's get in because they're in a lot of properties.
Because Sigma told them, right?
That
little
whatever, algorithm.
It's worth X price. God, that's a whole other.
That's a whole other topic.
We should just go off that, Gord. We'd be so much easier. But I guess here too, I think this is showing that there is no simple like black and white answer of this is how it's going to work every single time, and this is the metrics of every single time, and like pricing a home. Like obviously, you back onto green space. I say it's an extra $100K. You might say it's 75K. There's this wiggle room of. We understand the market and the metrics and the data, but a big driving factor is emotion. And
That's
how
right.
people
Yeah.
will-
It's a mix of art and science, really, isn't it? Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah. So you get the emotional factor comes into play, and yeah, somebody comes in and, for whatever reason, they've, fall in love with a particular aspect of the home. They want it. Maybe they know somebody on the street, or they want to be in that school area. They just happen to love the green space or whatever, the street has to offer, the parks close by or whatever it is. And that, yeah, they get attached to it. So
I'm trying to think if there was
that's the intangible part of it, but being in a lot of listings as we are gives you the, I guess the, really good baseline to start from. You can, look back and say, well, this one sold for this one sold for that, and make the comparisons that way.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I feel like there is a little bit of, I think we've had a tough winter, and I think it was really cold. There was a lot of snow, and
it was hard to show houses when you're trudging through.
Nobody wanted to go out, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to be, I think, a very interesting spring in that I do think there's going to be this kind of big supply push.
I think so too.
But I do feel like there's a little buzz in the air in that this stuff that is priced right, even last year, was moving.
Right.
And this year still, in the cold winter and snow, the stuff that was priced right is moving.
And I think buyers are seeing that. They're realizing if it's priced properly, it's not going to last that long. So it's not going to, causes them to take action. Whereas if it's overpriced, causes them to sit and wait and kind of watch it and say, well, what's going to happen here? Let's see if they drop, and if they drop again, and then maybe they'll take a low offer. So,
yeah, I guess from a pricing standpoint as a whole, then, Gord, how do you, what do you think we didn't touch on that we could really still instill value or?
Well, I think we didn't really get into the nitty gritty of how we price properties, but I think just kind of sum it up, it's, it is a bit of science and it's a bit of art, because you have to sort of understand the emotional aspect of, what a particular home has to offer. Going through competing listings, booking agent previews, which, a lot of times, you book a preview and the agent's calling you, why are you booking a preview? And you say, well, I'm going to see your listing because I've got one coming on the market. Oh, didn't you do that?
Yeah.
No. And then they explain to their client that, if a buyer comes through our property, it's not for them. Well, at least we know your product and we can introduce it to them as well. That's important. But I think just really just understanding the risks and of pricing too high and the risks of pricing too low, which I think, we talked about. So,
and clear communication with our clients of explaining what we want to do and what we want to achieve, because everybody's situation is different too. Obviously, it's like, I want the highest price for my home, but some people have different situations as well where in pricing, maybe there's financial issues or divorce or multiple properties and, things like that, where that also takes into account of, okay, we kind of need to move.
They may have more of a time crunch than
exactly,
the average time on the market.
So if you're doing it from just an average standpoint, the art and science example, I think that works perfect. And
well, the market tells you, doesn't it? Like if you price it too low, the market's going to tell you. No one's going to come.
I always joke, it is not rocket science. I feel like 90% of our job is preparing the home, right?
100%, yeah.
And setting up for success. And part of that 90% is obviously understanding what you're up against, your competition, what is sold, and setting it up in that regard. And then the 10%, maybe more, is the negotiation element of really making sure that we're getting what our clients want. And sometimes it's not just price, right?
Yeah, correct. Well, with closing dates and other conditions.
Other elements.
I think there's more than 10% goes into the negotiating side of it.
As I said it, but you know what I meant, I guess. Yeah. Because if I'm trying to say that 90%, if you don't have that, then there's no negotiation. There won't even be negotiation.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I agree on that point for sure. Yeah. So once you've laid the groundwork, if you get an offer on the table, you've done if you've set most of the work, and all of a sudden, that's right. Now there's an offer on the table. Now how can we work with
now
this?
We get to have fun.
There we go. Yeah.
To show really earn our stripes, right?
That's right.
Cool. Well, I don't know. I think we had Claire. We had pricing.
Yeah, Claire is awesome. It's so great to have as a first guest. Just like we said, a legend. Everybody knows her, and anybody that knows Claire, and you run into somebody, just has just wonderful things to say about her.
And
So it's what a reputation in the industry for years and years.
And I think I completely agree. Claire's an absolute legend, like you said. But I think we're hoping to spice things up a little bit, maybe a couple more, just you and I talking here, and then we're going to get some guests going. We've got some things in the works.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to get some guests on here and just, get other people's opinions, get, points of view, and find out, some like other inside tricks and what other people are doing, and
other professionals, not just us, that know what they're doing. Oh shoot, this is the dad joke segment. You're looking at me too, and I'm like, I knew I didn't even think about getting one in that.
I've messed mine up. Like if you go, I went back and listened to them. Like I messed up every single punchline I've done so far. So I'm going to prepare. Next week I will have 100% great dad joke for you. Rolling on the floor, laughing guaranteed.
Okay. I'm going to just say, let's make like Tom and Cruise.
Well, sounds good.
All right.
Good one.
See you later, Gord.
See you, Trev.